Hi, everyone. This is Michelle Gramoglia, the President and CEO here at Woodland Pond, and this is my weekly address for a Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. I'd like to start with talking about and congratulating everyone for your participation at an exceedingly high level with today's lockdown drill. We did mention within the past couple of weeks that we were going to be doing this, and without any notice, you all performed exceptionally, at least in our walkthroughs of the community. We did a variety of things like watching resident actions on our camera locations, which are both interior and exterior. We attempted to get into closed and locked doors. We investigated and observed where residents were located and how you were doing, and how many people called concierge, which we know we're not supposed to do unless we see, in this case, an intruder. You really, really did well. And so I want to just go through a couple of things after just thanking you for performing at a very high level with this. This is an exceptional way for us to become prepared in case of an emergency. So for those of you that missed it somehow, around 10:30 this morning, a call went out that an individual had been spotted and refused to comply with orders to stop. The description that was provided was that the person or the individual is wearing a black hat, and that's all that you were provided, and that we were going into a lockdown. We announced that it was a lockdown. Please follow lockdown protocols, which means make yourself as invisible as possible, lock doors, close blinds, hide as much as you can, be very quiet, do not call concierge unless you believe that you see the intruder, in which case today was an inflatable Frosty. So that was our intruder today. We did mention in the notifications that this was a drill. We repeated that a couple of times. We felt that that was important for you to know. We didn't want to cause panic, but it's so important for us to drill on these things. You did an exceptional job of not calling or coming down to concierge, and that is so important in the event of an emergency, because concierge needs to be available to help with emergency response and so forth. In the event of a lockdown, as soon as a lockdown is called, our panic buttons are hit by the folks at concierge and reception, and they were tested today, and they worked exceptionally well. When those panic buttons go off, our badge system shuts down, and no one from the outside can get in. And that is extremely critical, because if, for example, the intruder or an active shooter or something is actually outside, we don't want anybody to be able to come in. And we also, in the event that there's an emergency situation going on inside the building, we do not want just an innocent bystander inadvertently walking into a catastrophe. Police badges do work on the doors. They are the only ones that work. So they can access the building once the panic buttons are set. So we hit the panic buttons, and then what happens immediately is concierge forwards their phone to a phone in the back offices here. They move physically into those back offices. They close concierge down, shut off all the lights, and that is what happened today. So we were able to determine if any of you had called, and you didn't. So none of you saw the intruder. You may not have realized it would be an inflatable Frosty with his black hat on, but that worked very, very well. And I want to reiterate that and thank you. We also had a few things that came to light. Some of these things we knew, some of them were new to us. We actually did have a member of the New Paltz Police Department here with us observing the drill. He gave us a little bit of feedback. Some of the things that we know, for those of you that, for example, aren't carrying a phone with you and are walking in the hallways, we don't have a PA system here at the community. It wouldn't be common for a PA system to have ever been installed in a community like this, particularly 15 years ago. As we are looking at the renovation plans, one of the things that we are actively discussing with our partners is there some kind of a lighting system or an add-on to our existing phone system that can create that PA capability? This is 100% in the discussion. We're also looking at ways for those of you that had your phones with you but maybe turned off on Do Not Disturb. Maybe you were in the class in the pack, or you don't leave your ringer on. to actually create an override of a do not disturb for our SARA system. We don't know if that's possible, but that's something that we are going to look into, meaning that even if you had on do not disturb, if you were to allow just that one phone number to come through no matter what, that it could override that and still contact you. We would like to remind you that if you are barricaded behind closed doors and you can't see who's on the other side and you hear the door jiggle like someone's trying to get in, never ever let them in. I understand that there were a couple of locations where residents were barricaded in, whether it be a restroom or the PAC, for two examples, and Frosty tried to get in, and there may or may not have been somebody that said, let's let them in. You never want to let them in. You have to, unfortunately, assume the worst and assume it's the bad guy, because it could even be a bad guy that has a resident held hostage, and they say, a voice that you recognize, for example, and you hear your neighbor saying, let me in, but you have no idea what's on the other side of that door. So we have to be a little bit more skeptical. Some opportunities came up for us today with ways that we can secure doors that don't have locks on them, and we're going to talk about that and work on that. We did send these notifications out to any of your loved ones that are loaded into our notification system. So it's very possible that some of you heard from your children or loved ones that they received the notice. They would have received the exact same notice that you did, which indicated that it was a drill. If you did not get and would like notifications to come to your cell phone or your email or your landline or all, or you would like your loved ones to get those, please contact concierge and make sure that they know that. We did have a couple of people that have contacted us so far and said that they did receive the notice of the drill, but didn't get the all clear. We're not exactly sure why that may be. It could be location in the building when they came through, but we're looking into that. So if you had any communication issues, please do notify concierge and we will work to address those. So again, congratulations on that. We are going to plan to do these twice a year. I think it's very important. And of course, to remind you periodically, probably once a quarter, of the most important things that happen if we announce a lockdown. But again, it's making yourself as invisible as possible, being quiet, hiding if you can hide, just sort of those basic things. You do not want to draw attention to yourself. That's the critical thing. Next, you will be getting probably an email today from Constant Contact, which is our email notification system, which is a press release announcing that for the third consecutive year, Woodland Pond has attempted to achieve and achieved a national certification as a great place to work, and that's a registered trademark. The press release goes on to explain what all goes into that application process, how it's based on staff feedback and staff feedback alone. This is not something that's in any way subjective. It's completely objective based on the polling of all of our staff. You have to achieve a certain number of responses, and then those responses have to be a certain level of favorability across the 60 different questions that are asked. And we are very, very excited that we were able to achieve this certification. Being an employer of choice is one of 5 main components of our strategic plan. And by far, the best way for us to be able to do that is to take this kind of data and figure out what are we doing well for the staff, what can we do better on, and working to achieve that. And so the question is, how do we know if we've achieved it? Well, by doing this process consecutively, now 3 years in a row, we actually can compare our results on each individual question and by department to how we did last year and how we also compare to the industry. So in our case, we're comparing to CCRCs across the country. And so we know how we rank compared to the industry and how we performed compared to our own results. And in both cases, as you will see in the press release, we really improved even over last year when we were certified as well. So we're very excited about that. As you know, our staff are by far our most important asset, resource, jewel, and we value our staff, more than anything. And so we're very, very happy that they're sort of feeling that in kind. Today at 7 o'clock is the next Village of New Paltz Planning Board meeting, that Woodland Ponds project, their on-campus renovation. That application is on the agenda for discussion. That meeting is at 7 p.m. and it will be available to watch in live on YouTube, or if you wanted to participate, if there was any public comment opportunity, you can do that on Zoom. So we'll make sure that Lindsay gets that link out, but you can also always Google that link. If you go to the Village of New Paltz and just in Google, put in Village of New Paltz Planning Board, and then you can search for the agenda. We are number 5 out of 5 on the agenda for today. So last, hopefully it won't be as late as it was last time. I think we were 8th or 9th on the agenda. Looks like there's only 5. You never know how long the items are going to be, but there we are. We are a larger landowner officially as of yesterday, which is the first time that we have acquired new land since before we originally opened. So one of the 3 parcels that we're in consideration of expanding onto eventually, which we had decided that we were going to acquire regardless, the deal has closed on that. So we did acquire roughly, I think it's 2.5-ish acres, but it's basically the property that comes and extends behind the new cottage to the south of the property, over the vernal pond and up to the concrete pad by Ermine Lane. So this is the property that was one of the sort of in-between properties between the existing campus and where we may eventually put additional independent living units. But that deal has closed, and we're really excited about that. Even if we don't ever proceed with the expansion, we now have that additional property. It is very valuable from an ecological perspective. This will ensure that no matter what, we can protect it, either through very careful planning for our own projects or ensuring that nobody else can purchase it. But we are very thrilled about that and wanted to announce it. All right, let's see, some calendar items. There's a lot on the calendar. I'm not going to go through everything in detail because there's just too much. I would encourage everyone to look at your calendars to make sure that you understand what is coming up. But we've got musical events almost every night this week, or every afternoon this week, coming up, between the Hudson Valley Flute Ensemble, an encore presentation by Fred and Joe on Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, the Dulcimers, a harmony tuba quartet, which includes Bill Toole, who is one of our residents. And it kind of goes on and on. Today, just a couple of highlights. Peter Brown is going to present his Wanderlust Rhythms video program, Russia Revealed. This was originally done in September in the PAC. It's going to be at 2:30 in the Great Room today, and you do need masks. Check your calendar for all the musical events coming up, please. The list goes on. And then just a reminder that Thursday, the PAC is going to be completely offline because it is the annual staff holiday party. We start setting up first thing in the morning, and then the first service, I think, for lunch starts around 10:30 and goes till 1. We clean up and flip it in the afternoon, and then the dinner service starts around 6. So everything that's happening on Thursday, with the exception of Matt's PAC classes, which have been canceled, everything else has just been moved. So again, Matt's PAC classes only are canceled on Thursday. Everything else is moved, and he will be doing a water class that day at 9 a.m. I think that is it for today. If you have anything that you need to talk to any of us about, we're all around this week. Next week is a little bit more intermittent in terms of attendance, since Christmas is Wednesday, and then probably a similar kind of thing the following week. So catch us this week if you need anything, and I hope you have a fantastic day, beautiful weather, get outside and enjoy.